right, everybody. My name's Nate Manahan. We're just going to start a little early because some of you are already in here. We got a little late start, and I didn't want the music to go forever, and I apologize for getting a little late start. It is that type of year. I just feel like everything, I'm just running a little bit behind. My kids are sick. Everything is going on, and the struggles and the hurdles and the mountains, they just keep coming. But sometimes you just got to take perspective, and hey, we're going to get through it. We're going to get over it. And that's what happens when you're dealing with merchants that are a little higher risk. I'm not going to call them high risk. And today, specifically, we're going to be talking about three key little initials, CBD, something that scared us away years and years ago. We were scared. Our banks didn't want to touch it. No one wanted to say anything. And then suddenly it just became, hey, everybody sells CBD. You can pick it up at the gas station. You can pick it up at CVS. You can pick it up at the grocery store. You can go to one of the 6,000 little strip mall CBD stores that have showed up. And the question is, can we underwrite them? The answer is yes, we can. And we're going to talk about all that, but it's not just me because really I'm not an expert when it comes to CBD. I'm just a marketing guy that just likes to tell you, let's go make it work. I bring the experts on the far right hand of your screen, coming back off of an illness, off of the bench and back into the playbook, Mr. Mike Stetzel. Mike, how are you? And how is life a couple hours north in Warsaw, Indiana?
Doing good, like you said, coming off the bench, got some rest, a lot of rest. It's been a bad couple of weeks here in Warsaw. Feels like, at least for me and Jen, and I think a couple others a little bit in and out. But I think we're both back at work and back to normal. Winter's still here in Warsaw. 2 days ago, 3 days ago, it was 53. So we'll take it.
You just have to roll with the punches this type of year.
You do.
Last night, I went out I had like to go pick up my daughter from. She's had a dinner for her swim team. I go out and I'm like, there is a layer of ice on my vehicle because it was parked
Yes.
outside, and I'm like, well, how'd this come? And then I looked up and I was like, is this going to stay? And no, the temperature was going to raise 10 degrees over there. I was like, what's going on? I don't understand it. What's the life like in Colorado, Jenny? It's winter, we know, but I don't. The groundhog, I'm just going to go with it. He said less winter. I don't know whether he did because every groundhog sees a different thing. But I'm ready. How are you, Jenny?
Hmm.
It's warm here in Colorado, you guys. I'm
What?
actually a little bit closer to the Utah border. So it was like 70 degrees in some of the towns that are close, like an hour away from me. So it is almost like springtime here. And I'm loving it, right? I like to run outside. So the warm weather, the sunshine outside, it is like my favorite. So it's a little early, right? I feel like we still might need a little bit more snow before everything comes and shines up, but I'm enjoying it while it's here.
I've
Well,
loved knowing you guys because it blows me away. 3 weeks we sat here and you guys had like a foot of snow and it was zero and
Yep.
freezing and
Yep.
oh my gosh. It's
We
different
actually talked
every
about
day.
that. Like we literally went from like ice and 0 degrees to I'm walking around in a sweatshirt
Yeah,
today. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So Colorado.
it is what it is. Hey, we're just dealing with the weather the way it comes, and that's how you have to you kind of have to just go with it. And that's what happens when it comes to CBD because there is, first of all, it is legal in some fashion in all 50 states. It is a product that is extremely popular, but is extremely regulated. And I'd forgotten about this because we've done one other episode like this. It was like, I think 9 months ago, and I'd forgotten that I can't send a text message through our system. That Verizon and T-Mobile and all the companies, if the word CBD is, they just blocked the text. I can't send a group text, and I just tried to do it. So if those who got a text, you said this session was just about underwriting. Well, it's CBD underwriting. I couldn't type the word CBD because the phone companies are scared of the word CBD. Um,
Yeah.
Mike, can you kind of give us, I mean, not a month by month history, but kind of an overview of the last several years? I don't know exactly, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, our banks were like, no, I think during absolutely no CBD.
Absolutely.
And now we've been able to develop relationships with banks that are willing to do some CBD. Can you kind of walk us through that, like last couple of years, hit the history?
Yes, you're right. It was an absolute no 3 to 4 years ago, and then it became, well, and I'm gonna screw up the word maybe, but basically if you put it on your skin or it's some sort of a surface thing, no problem. Nothing ingestible. So then we move along a little bit longer, and all of a sudden, ingestible CBD is fine. And so that's where we've landed now. And you'll find that some of the kratom and the delta eights and the nines and things like that, depending on your state, we can process them. So what we've come down to now is we can process, CBD as long as it's less than 15% of the volume of the store that sells it. So that's where
Yeah.
we're at.
Yeah, and it's just, Jenny, it's a different world now because so much of our just our restaurants, and it all comes down to their social, not social security number, that which is what, but it comes down sorry, I don't know why I said that. We do collect that because or some
That
type of
was
employee
awesome.
identification number, but it really comes down to their credit score. Are they on the match list? And it really, for in most of our business, it doesn't have to do. There aren't a lot of hoops to jump through unless they've done something. They filed for bankruptcy, things that may be red flags to us. CBD, it starts from the beginning that it's about setting expectations, and in most cases, the merchants understand that because they can't go to Stripe, they can't go to Square. They're not going to be able to do the CBD if it's in their name. If that's the type of store, they may be able to get away with not telling them they sell CBD because it's on the back shelf. But for our partners, what's the first thing that's the major, or what are the major differences than putting in a restaurant or a clothing store that they need to recognize right from the beginning that this is just slightly different because of how the banks handle it?
Yep. So there's a couple of things on the back ends. There's some additional paperwork. We have a CBD questionnaire, and we have some additional forms if they're doing online sales only. So if you go to mypapertec.com and you type in just the letter CBD, you'll be able to find these forms. So these need to be included within the application. So on the online application, just upload it within the manage attachment section. I believe there's a lot of questions here, you guys, but I think it's like a few pages. And really, what the underwriting team is looking to know is what percentage is CBD, right? They need to be less than 15%. Is there any other products, Delta 8 or Kratom? And how is it being sold, right? So there's just some additional information that they want to know. Specifically, there's going to be an additional form for online sales. So that's going to be the paperwork. And then on the front end, just make sure that the store is ready to provide, the business is ready to provide some additional information, and also that there's no THC anywhere within their advertising or anything like that. Literally, the underwriting team, I've seen a business be held up because there was a marijuana leaf on the outside of the window, right? So nothing that even looks like marijuana or anything like that. All of that needs to be removed from their storefront as well.
And one of the things I've learned, I was talking to an underwriter this past, I don't remember what it was. I think it was, well, I know it was in at WSAA. So whenever that was, October. But I was talking to them and they were specifically saying one of the things you can look for is in states that has more legalized marijuana, the banks are gonna do a more thorough look because they think you're gonna mix the CBD. So, and here in Indiana, where CBD is legal and marijuana is not legal in any form, we're one of the 15 states that has no form of legal marijuana or cannabis or however you want to call it. It's going to be a bigger step. I realized I had Mike showing and I was talking. I apologize for that. I just looked at the camera. So, Mike, you could have moved your mouth like a puppet and just said, "This is how it's going."
That would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome, Mike. First, feel free to point that out, guys, when I push the wrong button.
That would have been funny.
I should have noticed because if I just take my eyes down, I can see exactly what I'm posting, but it was just another good-looking man looking back at me, and I was like, "Well, it must be me."
Look at us.
I forgot I was wearing a hat today, a cool PPT hat. But back to this: if you're in a marijuana legal state, if you're in the major like California, Colorado, where you are, Jenny, you're going to get probably even a little more look from those underwriters, from those risks. They may take a second look. We also see that the banks go and look at it again 6 months, a year down the road. There's some type of routine audit. We don't know when that's going to happen, but they may, take a look at the website. Oh, it didn't say cannabis 6 months ago, but now it does. We're going to shut it down. Banks are very scared of that. Now, all this can be changed in the federal level at some point. I don't expect, there's no expectations right now that there's anything. They're doing a lot of other stuff. They're not messing with cannabis right now. So who knows what's going to happen in the future? We will be on top of it. We are ready to be able to process for anything that our banks allow us to. But we just have to live with that. Mike, what have you learned? You've helped some partners submit merchants. What are some things that are red flags? What are things that if you just do this, it just goes so much smoother?
Thank you. That is a great question. And that's kind of what we talked about before. And I was thinking is if you sit back and listen to what's being asked for, um, you're going to do well. Get them what they ask for. They're going to ask for the labels. To me, I'm like, when I first did help somebody with the deal, I'm like, I have to go take a picture of every label. No, this label's already in a PDF. If the person is organized, they're going to send you those labels just like that because they've got them already in one PDF. So just being able to provide them what they need and being patient, because there is an underwriting team that looks at these accounts. And then when you send in some of this documentation that Jenny was pointing out and these labels, they go to an extra group called EDD. And it has to do with, my mind went blank on the acronym, but it's extra due diligence really, and I don't know if that's what it stands for, not off the top of my head.
Enhanced,
But
yep.
enhanced, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Enhanced due diligence. And here's the thing. They have 2 days to review the information you send in. So this is not a rush deal. This is not opening an ice cream store and having their equipment ready for them by next Saturday. And again, I'm not saying it's a terrible process. It's just methodical and it takes time. So be prepared for that and be caught and be what's the word I'm looking for? Patient. Just follow what they're asking. It's not a time to get excited and get too worried about it. So.
Yep. So, hey, we are getting some questions in here. So I like that. So I'm going to bring up a couple of those. We'll just go, since we're watching, those who are watching live. Cheryl asks, so what's the difference between processing terms of CBD and THC? That's a great question. THC is a byproduct of CBD. I think it's actually cannabis. CBD is the derived that expresses the THC out. I don't know, go to all the sciences. I don't totally know. I didn't go to chemistry when this was a big thing, and I haven't gone to chemistry for 30 years. So let's be honest. I don't know what's going on that. But I do know that we're now seeing the THC word is appearing more on the CBD products. And that is a new thing. And I don't know, I think we'll see some new rules showing up, because I was paying attention to DoorDash recently, and they have their own store on there called the Dash Mart, and it is like 75% cannabis products and a lot of them, they're calling it THC, and though it's CBD, and you'll look at it and it's less than 0.3% THC, but the THC is the product in marijuana, weed, what we usually grass, whatever you want to call it, reefer, whatever word you want to throw out there. It's the product that is not legal in half the states, and CBD is. Is that a good description? I just whambled. Yeah. Jenny, you're from a state that is legal. Mike and I over here.
Yeah, exactly. So around here, the dispensaries sell THC, right? Yeah. So you have to go to a specific store. It's very much like a liquor store, right? So it's going to be it's almost the difference between like some NA alcohol and some alcohol, right? Like CBD is a byproduct and it allows some relaxation. It's typically used for like muscles and things like that. But THC is going to be where somebody's going to purchase it for an after effect to be, high or stoned or get that. And so around here, there's a lot of, it's very specific. You have to be 21. There's a lot of rules around it, and no credit cards at all. You have to pay with cash.
Yep. So it is a cash product. And so if they have THC, if they're selling marijuana, our banks won't touch it. And there are companies that are working on workarounds all the time with marijuana, trying to figure out debit cards. There's these wonderful ATM companies that, you go, all the kinds of stuff that you can do. It's not something PayProTec has gotten involved in. We are ready when the government says that our banks can be ready. We are ready to roll. Have no idea when that's going to happen. We were thinking maybe we were making some progress last year, and nothing at all just fizzled out. So who knows? We'll see what happens in the years to come. Further questions. There is the Kratom and Delta 8, and that used to be probably a year ago. I don't know exactly when that changed.
A little more maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, newer.
Yeah. So those are other derivative products that are not natural but are man-made, is my understanding, especially Kratom, I believe. And there's something more I don't even totally understand. But now it's a state-by-state process. Anything else you can add on that? Again, a lot of these things the merchant's going to know most likely if they're in business and they've been doing, they know what they're coming up against, and they know most likely what the underwriters are going to ask. That's certainly look for reputable companies. If these people are trying, if they keep trying to hide it, they're probably doing something that they've been banned by a bank before. And that's the other thing is there's a huge chargeback issue sometimes on these products because people don't want to have that appear that they went to XYZ store. If they did anything, they'll charge it back. And so a lot of times these merchants have gone from merchant place to place, and you need to work with them to be able to clear their name in the past if they've done some things that the banks were not happy with. Anything you'd add on the Kratom and Delta 8, Mike or Jenny?
I was just going to say an answer to that question on the percentage. I believe it still falls under the CBD. So Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. It's got to be under that 15%. So it can be something that they sell like along like in a smoke shop or a vape store or something like that, but it can't be their primary of what they're selling.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think, because they can say they're a CBD shop, but then it's the question. It's such a, I'm not going to lie. It is a muddy.
It changes.
It's not perfectly a perfect thing. But we are processing for thousands of these merchants. They're happy. Mm-hmm. Those who are doing this have gotten really good at it. If it's your first one, you're probably going to have a lot of questions. Work with your relationship manager. They'll connect you directly with the underwriters to make sure this is going to be a smooth process, and just set the expectation that, they're going to ask some questions. They're going to ask to see your labels. They're going to really look at your website. They have access to the Google Maps that swung by 2 weeks ago at that local thing and looked outside, and they're going to see the most recent picture of what the storefront looked like. There's lots of things that they're going to be able to tell really quickly, and just set those expectations. If they have a big marijuana leaf and something we sell pot on the outside, probably going to be an issue for us. Or if they say, or they are able to, they advertise we're the only sell CBD, also going to be an issue. Is there a difference? Because we have questionnaires for all online sales and we have question for store sales. Is there a difference of those processes right now? Have you learned anything about those who are physical stores versus those who are doing all online sales?
I don't know whose turn it is, but the physical sales, knowing you're selling it in this city, in this state, is much simpler. They can get a very simple handle on that. And I've watched and online can be done, and I've watched them do it. They tested for each state on that merchant's website and said, you are still able to sell in, let's just say, Indiana, and you can't sell this there. I need you to make it so I can't purchase this for the state of Indiana. So it's a pretty interesting process, but again, once it's in place, this merchant's going to be excited. They're going to have an outlet to sell this all across the country and make some money, as will you. It's just that beginning process. And I think we touched on it a little bit, but what's happening here is we are dealing with a riskier product that we never dealt with before, and yet we're not charging what I think Nate kind of referred to as, it's not high risk. There's plenty of processors out there where you can go get your CBD processed, but it could cost you 4, 5, 6%. Here you're going to pay quote unquote normal credit card rates. And that's the beauty of what we're doing, and makes it a lot more attractive for people. I don't know that we address the question about who can we get an account for THC. I think the answer to that is no.
Yep.
From THC standpoint.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that is 100%.
Produces the high versus the CBD, which has different chemicals and psychological effects or physiological effects. Yeah. Sorry.
Yep. And I will say this, when you go to my PayProTec, you download, you'll see this is also a state by state issue. So their underwriters are looking, when they're selling in a physical location, they can look up one state. When it's online, they have to look like, and your terms of service have to say, I'm not ever going to sell to Rhode Island. I'm not ever going to sell Wisconsin because it's prohibited. I'm not allowed to do that. And that's where it's just a longer process, because most of our online e-commerce, there are no restrictions on where you sell great hoodies like this, supporting the Pike Red Devils, who go into sectionals tonight. Go Maggie, my daughter. But there are restrictions when you're selling. This is one of the few products. A lot of the other high risk stuff, or a lot of the other stuff, we have to go to one of our friends who are high risk merchants. This we're allowed to do, but it does take some extra steps. It can be extremely profitable because a lot of these places they're being charged. They may be so if they've been in business a long time, they're very reputable and you trust them, and you may find out they're playing interchange plus 10%. And we can cut those rates significantly and make them a very profitable account for you. These accounts are more profitable than edge accounts, but they're also more work. So more work, more reward. That's a lot of times how it works. So all these questions, a lot of it is, and I see Mike answering in our chat here, but a lot, I would say, is working with a relationship manager and bringing us specific, when we're talking about, hey, what if I have this? What if I have that? It's a lot easier to work through when you have a specific merchant and this is what they do, this is how they do it, and start working through the process with them. That's going to be a lot easier to understand the whole process than trying to come up with 100 speculations of what if they do this, because there are so many of them. I was just, I was driving by a strip mall yesterday, less than a mile from my house, and I thought the boom had gone up and there was another one that I'd seen. Now, I think they're starting to turn more into franchises than individuals pop up. So like the franchisors are by names. I don't know. I'm not a huge CBD, though you can get it delivered now. I mean, I could have a CBD product delivered to my door. But the interesting thing on that, guys, is, when here in Indiana, I think this is probably true in all states, it's treated like alcohol. I have to show my ID. They're going to take a picture of my ID when it's delivered. I one time accidentally ordered a bar of soap that had CBD in it, didn't know. And I'm like, what in the world did I order that they're suddenly taking pictures of everything? I felt like I had done something wrong, but it's a controlled, it's not a controlled substance. That's the wrong word, but it's an interesting thing. It's just a different word.
And in Colorado, if you order alcohol, they literally leave it at the doorstep, and it's like any other package. Yes. No different state by state.
Yeah, in Indiana, we can get it delivered, but you need to prove that you're over 21 multiple ways. I'm not sure, and they're going to shame you into it or something like that. I don't know. Good questions here from Kevin. Kevin says, do we have a list of questions asking? That's what I've been showing. If you go over to mypapertech.com, let me, I'll bring the screen up, but let me back up. So you just go to mypapertech.com and type in CBD into the search, which you'll see up here. And then I can probably zoom in maybe a little bit. Nope. Oh, there we go. So you see the CBD right there, and then you're going to find all these different questions you have to ask and to kind of walk through. They are, some of it's just very simple, like business name, but it also goes into the different products, whether it's topical, ingestible, kratom, Delta 8, Delta 10, things that HHC, I honestly don't know what it is. Again, we're not experts, but we know people who will help you through this. So I think it's a really good thing to get involved in. What have I missed? What else should we be telling our partners if they're going to go out and start talking to merchants that are selling CBD? I would say this. Let's talk about the gift store that sells, 3 CBD ointments in the back. What do they have to do? Do they have to disclose that? What are the letter of the law rules on that? Who wants to take that?
The letter of the law would say yes. Yeah. And the other part that this kind of goes with one thing I hadn't mentioned yet is that when the underwriters are looking at this, they're looking at those photos your customers have submitted as well, not just the ones you have on your website. Yep. I've seen those come up a lot. Well, this person has just posted not just, but there's a picture posted here of some sort of marijuana product or whatever it was. It used to be we couldn't have bongs or any other kind of glass. So the letter of the law with the internet is becoming the majority. I'll be honest. I think we can talk about the spirit of the law for 3 tubes of CBD in the back. Submit the application. See where it goes from there. That's my personal feeling. And I do not speak for PayProTec or the underwriting department of this company.
See, and I'm just opposite. I'm like, fill everything out, okay?
What's that?
I'm literally the opposite. I'm like, make sure you fill everything out. And like you said, Mike, if it's just a little bit, you could probably, if it's just like some chapstick or something, but truly our underwriting team, they'll look at Instagram posts, Google reviews, all of the above. So if it's going to be there, make sure you just cover it.
Yeah. what will happen is, and I haven't seen this happen many times. I've heard of at least maybe just once, but if a company has transitioned and suddenly 30, they have a larger percentage of their store selling at things like
Yep.
that, and reviews are random. We never know when the bank may choose that merchant to be looked at. But if that particular day, a person who's doing due diligence pulls that account up and does something, goes to the website, pulls a comment up, goes to a Google review, there's so many ways they can find it. It will be found out. And if you haven't disclosed it ahead of time, you have very little recourse. And it's just, it's pull the product or go away. And the problem is once you're shut down by those banks and then put on Visa and MasterCard and other lists, and you may not be able to process again. So I always say disclose ahead of time, but you don't have to go out. You don't have to ask every store. You go into a restaurant, because I've been to restaurants that will have products that they say are infused with product, and you don't have to go out saying ask everything, but obviously those types of stores, health stores, places that are probably going to have more likelihood to have CBD and CBD based products, and it's changing all the time. And so you can see the big companies are going after it. They're trying to, they have direct relationships now with the banks and are trying to push the products more. And I think we're going to see it become easier and easier. And we have some, hopefully later second half of this year, I'm hoping there'll be some changes in this, but this is how it is now, and we're going to keep. That's why we do this every once in a while, because the last time we did this, if you were trying to do kratom, we just said no, that's
Right.
not true anymore. Those things, it keeps changing and keeps evolving, and we'll try to keep you up to date as fast as we can. So anything else to add? I think we covered CBD. I mean, we're all expert. No, we're not experts, but we are focused on trying to help you grow your business. And if you have relationships with merchants that are selling CBD,
Yep.
we can help. We're here to help. Anything else?
I got nothing.
All right, Mr. Mike Stetzel, it's time. You were missed us. It's time for the closing word. Mike, it's all you.
Thank you. One thing as we leave, there's some potentially open questions there. There's going to generate some other questions.
Yeah.
Mike at pptdesk.com. If you need to get a hold of me, let me know. Obviously, you can always use partners at PayProTec.com or 844-334-9625. But thanks for being here. This has been one of our better attended episodes. Thanks for joining, and thanks for being willing to listen to new things, even if they're not easy. But the fact that there's so many people on today, everybody's willing to listen and learn. And we love it. And that's why we do what we do for a living, and what Nate does every day, trying to get the word out about different things to you all, putting these programs together. And so we just really appreciate you being part of that and being willing to listen and try something new.
I love it. On behalf of Mike Stetzel, Jenny Rickle, I'm Nate Manningham. This has been Office Hours, and we'll see you next week right here on this YouTube channel. Like, subscribe. We'll see you guys. Bye, everybody.